Hi everybody, Jake here for FMSCOUT. Hope you're all doing well. Today's video is one that I hope will be beneficial to you all. We've all had it in our saves where we've got a bit of money left over in the transfer budget and you don't really know who to pick up with it, like you've only got £1 million or so. What are you going to do with it? Well, I've combined an 11 today, a full 11, so goalkeeper, left back, right back, striker, you get the idea, of players. You can buy all of them for a combined total of under £10 million. So the hope is that you can refer to this video when you're in a situation like that, or if you're just really interested in BARGAIN Wonderkids, maybe you only want one person off this list, it could be very useful. I would suggest 99% of people wouldn't be able to name all 11 of these players. Yeah, a couple of them you might know, but most of them I think are quite under the radar. All players will be able to be bought for a combined total of 10 million, and some of them are like okay players, some of them are really good players, and some of them are players that will be top level at full development and will hopefully help lead your guys' clubs to glory. Now, before we get into all 11 players, I'd just like to ask you guys, if you could smash the like button down below, that would mean a lot and it helps in the performance of these videos. So comment down below if you know any of these guys or if you have any other BARGAIN Wonderkids that you'd put in this list. Maybe you don't like a left back or right back or something that I choose and you want to put someone else in there. And finally, if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the notification bell on the FMSCOUT channel so you don't miss out on any of our uploads. Now, with that being said, let's run the intro and get straight into today's video. Okay, so we're starting off slow, guys. I'm not a big fan of the set of Wonderkid goalkeepers in this year's Football Manager. I reckon there's only a couple of them that actually are always good. But Alex Padilla here isn't a bad goalkeeper. He plays for Athletic Bilbao out in Spain in their C team. Honestly, if I could, I probably wouldn't have a goalkeeper in this team because I don't think the goalkeeper pool is that great. But Alex Padilla, I find it hard to talk about goalkeepers when we're saying like what attributes are good or not. But he's a pretty tall goalkeeper, decent physicals, decent mentals, and decent goalkeeping. If it wasn't for the fact that I was making 11 here, I probably wouldn't have a goalkeeper in this list. But he is one of the better ones, and of course he is only 16, which means you can kind of mould him in whatever way you want. Yes, you're not going to be able to grow him 5 inches, but you might be able to say, okay, I really want his kicking to be good, and he might just be a goalkeeper that's really good at kicking, you know. But he can be bought for around 1.5 million. If you want proof of that, then here it is. He's only on about £3 a week. 1.5 mil, as I said, he's not going to walk into many teams straight away. Yeah, if you're a lower league team in England or something, but to get a 16-year-old over from Spain might be a bit of a hassle. But I think eventually this guy can come good in quite a few saves. And for a goalkeeper, he's not too bad. I think it sounds like I really hate goalkeepers here. I don't. I just think that the pool of them on Football Manager in terms of Wonderkids this year isn't that great. But Alex Padilla is our goalkeeper for 1.5 million, and we have 8.5 million left to spend to bring you 10, I would say, very good players. Okay, the next player we're looking at is Leon King from Rangers. I've had quite a lot of people in comments recently asking how come this guy never really appears in videos. Well, he's finally here. I've actually got a Mansfield save, personal save, nothing to do with YouTube, where in about 5 or 6 years' time, he's West Ham's starting centre-back, which isn't like the most amazing thing in the world, but I think for a player who you can approach to sign for free, now you will have to pay compensation, but I can tell you if you just outright transfer him, he will cost you around £500,000 to £600,000. Not only are you getting a very good centre-back already, but this player does have brilliant technique, and that's what shines out about him in the future. Now, he's not the tallest, but he is quite physically good, strong, and he does develop in terms of his pace, but his best attributes are, of course, the ball-playing side of him. With 15 technique, either-footedness, and 12 passing at only the age of 16, that will all go up to the point where passing will be 15 or above, his technique will get above 16 of course, and the either-footedness really helps him in creating chances. On top of that, he's got some nice vision. Some will probably suggest that he could do a good job as a defensive midfielder, but for the sake of the video, he will be in at centre-back. His defensive attributes are also quite good with 14 tackling, 15 bravery, and then on top of that, he's got 13 composure, 13 first touch. For a 16-year-old, this guy is excellent. And we are partnering Leon King with someone who is a completely different type of centre-back. It's Norman Williamson, the Norwegian 17-year-old playing for Kristiansand in the Norwegian Premier Division, is a very good centre-back when it comes to the defensive stuff and the old-style centre-back play. He's 6'3", so he's not massive for a centre-back, but he shouldn't be let down in the air there, really. Physically very good, he's quick, and his strength will get better. On top of that, he's got a nice jumping reach and some decent heading for a 17-year-old, but mentally he is very strong, and he has 15 tackling and 11 marking. He will cost you a bit more. He's going to cost you around £1.5 million, which for a player who's on £375 a week and only valued at 27k is quite a lot, but he will eventually recoup that money. Even if he doesn't break into your first team, you'll be able to sell him on for a profit, which might be the case with a lot of these players. If you do have a bit of budget left over, the chances are that you've built the squad you want, and maybe you're just bringing these players in for the future to hopefully fit in your team one day or to sell them for a profit. And I think this guy is a perfect example of someone who will be very good for that. But that does make up our centre-back pairing, and I think it's a pretty good one. Filling in at right back in our team, and it was very hard to find a right back, so we've got a centre-back who can also play right back. It's a bit of a cop-out, but we're going for it anyway. I think every single Wonderkid list I've done recently features Namdi Collins after I did a Wonderkid Superstar episode on him. He turned out that good in that episode that people were commenting saying, you must have cheated, there's no way you've done this, you've gone into the editor and boosted all of his attributes. We just didn't. He was just really good. Like, physically he is insane. Mentally, he's pretty good too, with 19 determination in this save at least, but technically he was really good. Like, after a few years, he had some insane passing and vision. You can see already he's got some nice technique, some nice vision. Realistically, he's not really a right back, guys, but it was very hard to find one that fit into my budget. So we've got Namdi Collins in here. He's actually someone that we've looked to sign in my Lil save, which the link to that is in the description if you want to check it out. The save hasn't long started, so there's only a few episodes to catch up on, and yeah, Namdi Collins would fit perfectly in our team, where we're looking for young players to sell on for a profit in the future. This guy can be bought for around £800,000. You can approach to sign him, but if you just want to outright buy him without having to pay £2 million compensation down the line, he'll only cost you 800 to 750k. Now do be aware that we are on the first few days of the season here, so he hasn't had time to sign a new deal or commit his future to Dortmund. So if his contract situation isn't the same in your save, that's probably why. He's probably already signed something new. But as you can see, physically, he is going to be one of the best defenders in the world. Maybe not in his other attributes, but physically he'll be one of the best physical defenders in the world. Is really in that kind of build. Strength, yes, he definitely needs work. Force strength is not really good enough, but yeah, he's 16, you could work on that quite easily. In 3 years' time, he might be ready for a bench spot in your first team. And then who knows, maybe you sell him on or he comes into your first team squad. If my maths is correct, we've currently spent £4.4 million, and the player we're looking at here, Thierry Small, is someone that everybody's talking about on Football Manager at the minute. He was added after the winter update. The Everton left back can be approached to sign straight away, which is one of the best things about him. He's a really good left back with some nice physical stats. His defending is also pretty nice too. His mental attributes are very good. He's got some nice decision making, flair, aggression, and then technically also very good. Good dribbler, good first touch with good technique, very good technique for his age actually, and 11 tackling. Now the best thing about him is of course you can approach to sign him, and he's only 15, so he's going to have 3 years in your youth team of development. He's going to come out a completely different player. You can mould him into whatever you like because he's got so much time to grow. He goes on to be one of the best left backs in the world now after the winter update, and if you want to pick this guy up, yes, you can approach to sign him, but for only £500,000 flat out, you'd get yourself a left back for him 2 or 3 years time. Will be one of the hottest prospects in the world in this left back position within your Football Manager save, so get your hands on him quick before Everton tie him down to a new deal. Now I did mention I reckon most people wouldn't know all of the players on this list. This is one of my bets that you might not know him. If you do, there's still one coming up that I think you probably really won't know. But Gessen Gessen, and I'm really sorry for pronouncing that wrong, I don't know how you pronounce that, is an Ivorian 17-year-old playing in the Ivorian divisions. He plays for Racing Club de Abidjan, founded in 2009. Don't really know how to pronounce that again, but he is a very nice central midfielder who for a 17-year-old is very all-round. Physically pretty good, mentally very good, and technically also very good to look at. I think he'd walk into quite a lot of teams, obviously not Premier League kind of stuff, but maybe a Championship, League One. He could definitely play there, and of course he's got so much room to develop. He'll only cost you around £250,000, but if you can't find him in your save, the likelihood is your database isn't big enough, or you don't have the Ivorian leagues loaded, and I would imagine most people don't, so you might fly under the radar. But if you have got an increased database size, if you have got most people in your database, you can find him, bring him into your squad, and he is a very good player. I'd be interested to see how he develops because he can be bought so cheap. Is he going to be like a Yaya Toure reborn? I guess at 5'7", probably not, but he does look like a really capable midfielder, particularly mentally and technically. He's got plenty of room to grow still too, and for only £250,000 is a must sign if he's in your save. Now we're looking at someone who's been talked about in real life football a fair bit at the minute, particularly if you're a Tottenham fan. There is a lot of expectation on this young star to come through at Tottenham and break into their first team. It's Alfie Divine. I don't know if it's Divine or Divine, we'll call him Divine. He's a central midfielder who can play defensive midfield and attacking midfield, but we're just going to put him in the central midfield just to make up the spaces in my team. We're doing a 4-2-3-1 if I haven't mentioned, so there'll be a couple of central midfielders, a few wingers, an attacking midfielder and a striker. Now Alfie Divine is another one where yes, he's a very good player, but his price is the biggest factor in getting him, and it's also his age too. At 15, he's another one that you can mould into a really nice player, and he starts off with a really good base set of foundation attributes where you can really build off each one. He's not particularly lacking in any area, he's just really good all around physically, mentally and technically, and he can be bought for around £700,000, so a real steal for this kind of player. He's another one where you can approach to sign him, but if you want to forget about compensation fees and just pay it outright, then about £700,000 will get the job done. And with the attribute set that he's got here, if he improves technically a little bit, he could easily feature in a first team for some squads in a couple of years. He's going to be one that you'll probably loan out to a few of the lower league clubs, but then eventually he'll come back and he should quite easily make the first team for your squad, or at least make you a tidy profit being an Englishman. always comes with a premium when the English clubs try to buy them. We've got an English 15-year-old at left back, centre mid, and now another one in left wing with Jamie Bino Gittens, who plays for Borussia Dortmund. He's another one that's broke out in this year's Football Manager, a very good player, another great player coming through in the Dortmund youth teams, physically good, technically very, very good for his age. At 15, to have them technical attributes is awesome. I mean, 15 dribbling, 15 first touch, 13 technique, and 11 finishing. He's already set up to be a really nice inside forward kind of player in the future. Add to that he's going to be quick because of his 14 pace and some nice mental attributes too. He's going to grow, he's going to get a lot quicker. By the age of 18, he can become a very good player. I've had it quite a lot in my saves where he's one of the best wingers in the world and playing for the England national team. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened in a lot of saves because he is just a star. He's set up with all the right attributes, and if you get far enough into your save when he can develop and become the player that we know he can be, he is a superstar, guys, and he can be bought for dirt cheap too. Only £900,000 for this guy. Again, you can approach to sign him, but if you just want to outright make a bid with no compensation, £900,000. What a player this guy is, right-footed on the left-hand side, my kind of player. I love an inside forward, and Jamie Bino Gittens is probably one of the best ones out there when you're looking at cheap Wonderkids out there on Football Manager at the minute. The next player, guys, is such a bargain. Like, you're not going to believe it when you hear his price. He's the one that I think, if you don't know anyone in this list, it probably is him. It's Mahmoud Al Aswad. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but yet again, he's another one where if you don't have the leagues loaded, you've probably never heard of him. If you do have the Syrian leagues loaded, or at least have the Syrian players loaded within your database, you won't have seen this guy. As you can already tell, he's not going to go on to be like the best player in the world or anything like that, but for a player who could potentially feature in your team in the future, or at least make you a tidy profit, this guy is definitely one that you literally can't go wrong in terms of making profit. Yes, he's good physically, yes, he's good mentally, and he has some very nice technical attributes too, playing on the middle or on the right hand side. He's got some nice first touch, passing and technique. There's a lot of stuff that needs work, I'm not going to lie, but I can tell you, I've bidded for this guy and you can get him for £1,000. £1,000, that's it. And like, even if you put a few add-ons on and they want a few add-ons, they want maybe like £2,000 or £3,000 at most. I've been able to buy him outright £1,000. He is so good. As I said, he's no Messi, he's no Ronaldo, but for £1,000 you can't go wrong at all. Unless you sell him on for a free in the future, literally all you have to do is loan him out with like a 1k loan fee and you've made your money back. There's zero risk for this guy. Like I say, he could potentially break into your first team or at least make you a few £1,000,000 in the future. Definitely one of Syria's best players in the game once he develops into a top level player. I'm always a fan of buying these kind of players that are a bit more under the radar that you don't often get, because that's what makes saves fun for me, you know, when you're signing players that you've never played with before, and there's a good chance you haven't tried this guy. So if you've got the league loaded, or if you're starting a new save and you're going to put leagues in, just make sure you've got your database set to have this guy in, because he will definitely be a star for you. For only £1,000 as well, he could join, you don't have to be Liverpool, he could join anyone and hopefully help your team out, whether it's financially or actually on the pitch. So that's Mahmoud Al Aswad. Pretty much anyone can afford him, so get him in your squad. Now, if you don't have the Syrian leagues loaded, or you don't have the Ivorian leagues loaded as we've seen already, this is a player that you likely will have in your save somehow, because most people are going to have the Italian leagues loaded in some shape or form, and Brian O'Day is playing for Sassuolo, who are in the Serie A, so he is a very good player to appear in pretty much most databases. He's left-footed on the right-hand side and can play up front, but he's playing the right-wing position for us. £1.2 million you can get him for. He's got the trait of cutting inside from the right wing. He's got a great left foot on him. He's really good physically. Good technically too on the ball, a nice little dribbler with a good bit of technique, and mentally he's fairly strong too, with some flair, vision and work rate on that right hand side. Now you're going to have to be quick because he is interested by the likes of Leicester, Man U, Tottenham and Inter. He's not one you're going to be able to pick up with Mansfield Town, but if you're one of Europe's elite, you know, like a Europa League team or a Champions League team, you've probably got a good chance of getting in on this guy. You can buy him outright for about £1.2 million, but if that doesn't work, just approach to sign him with a bit of compensation. It will be about the same amount, and he is a very, very good player, guys. I mean, you can see it here at 17, he's going to develop a little bit. Definitely make you a profit on the £1 million roughly you put out for him. I mentioned him before in a previous video, and a lot of people in the comments were saying, yeah, this is the guy where we've signed him on my save and he's the best player in the league now. So he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. Brian O'Day from Sassuolo, the Ghanaian international, looks like an absolute star. And finally, it wouldn't be a Football Manager Wonderkid video without my favourite Wonderkid of the last 2 years. He's the star of my Lil save, which again, subtle little plug here, is linked in the description. He has been a superstar for us, and you can kind of see why. Physically, he is great. He's one of the quickest players in the league for us right now. Mentally, strong too, and technically, absolutely amazing. Yes, he's a good finisher. You're probably thinking, yeah, is that it? No, he can head the ball. He can take good long shots. He can even throw a long throw. He's a penalty taker with good technique. He can take a free kick. He can take your corners. He can cross. He can dribble. What more do you want from this guy? He's an absolute all-rounder, an absolute superstar. He's really clinical as well. Like, there's some traits and hidden attributes that just make someone just like really good in the match engine. And Matthias Arezzo is one of them people. Every time he goes one-on-one, I've seen players with 19 finishing miss more shots than this guy. He's absolutely nuts. He's a Uruguayan 18-year-old who plays for Club Atletico River Plate Montevideo in the Uruguayan First Division. Definitely pronounced that wrong again. And he only costs you about £1.5 million. What an absolute superstar. What a bargain. I don't really need to say much more about this guy. He's been a star for a couple of years now. Pretty much everyone knows him. And if you don't know him, then just sign him. And trust me, you will in a few weeks. I brought him in thinking in 3 years' time he'll be good. In my first season with Lille, he is starting for us in the Europa League final, scoring hat-tricks. That's how good this guy is. At only the age of 17, 18. What an absolute star. If you were hesitant about some of the players in this list, this is someone that you shouldn't be. There's literally nothing wrong with this guy. Absolute perfect in my opinion. Price and the kind of player you're getting, so definitely sign him up. And with that being said, that is all 11 players in our team. The whole team came to a combined total of £9.5 million. You've still got 500k there left to spend, but hopefully I've brought you a team here. Even if you only want to sign one of these players or you hadn't heard of one of these players, and give the video a like, hopefully you do sign as many as you can and really reap the rewards of these players' developments. Comment down below which of these players is your favourite and who you think should have made the list. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so don't miss out on any of our uploads here on FMSCOUT. And finally, if you want to come check out my channel, then the link to that is in the description, where you can see this guy being an absolute superstar. So thank you for watching, guys, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Goodbye.